test, test, test,
Keep talking.
test, 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 test,
Yeah.
test, test.
I hear you. And
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. I am the Reverend Randy Partain. My pronouns are they, them, and I am your worship associate on this beautiful Sunday morning. Whether you're joining us in person or participating online today, welcome, welcome, welcome into this sacred space that we co-create by our presence with one another. We acknowledge that we are gathering on the original lands of the Erie and the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabeg peoples, also known as the Three Fires Council. We recognize the need to learn more about these complex and sometimes painful histories, to care for not only the land we inhabit, but also the diverse peoples and cultures who continue to share it alongside us now. And I hope to have some news very soon about some opportunities to deepen our relationship with the Lake Erie Native American Council, so stay tuned for that. If you are brand new to our community or new-ish, we would love to answer any questions that you might have and help you get connected. And one way you can facilitate this is by filling out the visitor card in the pew rack, and you can just put that card in the offering plate when it comes around in a few moments. If you're participating remotely, we invite you to visit our website at uucleveland.org, which is now accessible again. Thank you, Kat White, for making sure that we can get back to our website. Or you can just send us an email, and we'll help you get connected. Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal faith tradition. We don't have a creed. We don't all believe the same things. We don't have a common definition for or relationship with the divine. Being covenantal means that our focus is less on our individual theologies and much more on how we relate to the world and to one another. Covenants are mutual, and covenants are aspirational. They define our vision for what it would be like for our values to be lived impeccably. And since we are human, we have frequent opportunities to get off track and invite one another back in. So I'm grateful to the Tending Covenant team for putting together a service on how deep listening features in with how we live into our covenantal promises. And with that, I will turn things over to Mike for a reading.
I'm not Mike Miller. I'm not Mike, but that's okay. This is Many Perspectives from the Reverend Beckett Coppola. Spirit of life, we know there are as many perspectives and experiences of living here in this room as there are people. Spirit of love, please guide us gently into appreciating and listening. Assist us to honor each other in conversation and deeply hearing so we can see the gift of a collective. Show us how we can find understanding by learning to speak one another's languages, so that we may go deeper into our beliefs and connection through a personal, communal, and perpetual evolution. Breath of life, give us the patience to live into this faith of community, the curiosity to ask loving questions of each other, and allow us to be always expanding our spiritual awareness of the words within and without. Inspiration that is this life, we offer our gratitude for the comings and goings, the beginnings and endings, through which we have each been granted the opportunity to reflect with openness, both upon what is within our individual experience and that which is within another's. Blessed be.
Good morning. I'm Mike. Deeply, with curiosity and wonder, we speak for ourselves without need to defend ourselves or persuade each other. We create safe and brave space for healthy conflict, creativity, and fun. We reconcile through forgiving and making amends when we hurt one another. We will sing number 1020 in the teal hymnal in a moment, but first, please stand up and greet one another.
Where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get
name is Meg Pauken, and I want to reintroduce our Tending Covenant team to you and tell you a little bit about what we do. So for some of those of you who are newer here, you might not know me. We joined as a family about 20 years ago, started out in the RE program and the Young Families program, and moved on to board service and the reunification committee, and here I am on the Tending Covenant team. So our Tending Covenant team has three basic tasks that we'll fulfill, one of which is education. So the education is general. It's for everyone. And the intention is to teach us how it is that we live in covenant. It doesn't mean that there is no conflict or that we've somehow overcome the natural human nature that causes us to rub up against each other a little roughly sometimes. What it means is that we value our relationships enough to engage and to resolve that conflict in some way. So I'm going to introduce Mike Miller, who's going to speak about our coaching facet.
Good morning. My name is Mike Miller. I've been a part of the congregation. Whoop, am I on? I'm on. Oh, we'll talk, yeah. My name is Mike Miller. I apologize. I had throat surgery not long ago, so it's getting better. I've been part of the congregation here and its predecessors since about 2011. Since then, I was on the lay pastoral care team, the ministerial search team, of course, the kitchen crew, and a number of covenant groups, and now on your Tending Covenant team. The second thing that we as a team bring you is confidential coaching and support. You've affirmed over and over that living in covenant is important to this congregation, yet it can be really tricky and difficult to lean into that, even when it's so vital to our principles and values, especially when we carry some old ideas that might get in the way. So we're available to individuals at your request. If you're experiencing conflict of any sort or in groups or grappling with our covenant, and we're happy to provide coaching and support to you as you work through how you're going to address those concerns.
And I am Lori Albright. My pronouns are she, her. I've been a member of UUCC for 30 plus years. Some of my current involvements or recent involvements, I've been on the search committee. So happy about the results of that. Greater Cleveland Congregation's core team for our congregation, the Good Trouble folk, organizing people, and UU's together. I want to share an overview of the third role we play as your Tending Covenant team. We are a starting point for a structured restorative process. Should our second role of coaching not resolve a conflict or a concern. This is in recognition that there are times when we need support, a container, in order to move forward. This process is also by request and would involve conversations with the affected parties prior to convening. The 6 goals of the restorative process are information, what happened, truth-telling, deep listening, empowerment, especially for those harmed, accountability for people who cause harm, foster an ability to hold multiple stories, and lastly, healing, developing a story of what happened and how we overcame that. Each process is tailored to that particular situation, and again, we work in teams of at least 2. Examples of situations that may come up in this situation are people not talking to each other and or conflict between 2 individual members, or chronic conflicts in committee work. A helpful orientation to this process is the anticipation that we're all going to learn something from this that will create a path forward. And now we'll hear from Jenny.
Good morning. My name is Jenny Papp. I am the Director of Lifespan Faith Development for this congregation. My pronouns are she and they. It's delightful to see all of you this morning. We're going to have a little bit of a meditation right now at this time today, and so I'm going to invite you, as we do our imagining, it'll be a little imagining, to get comfortable, whatever that means for you. You might be one who would like to close your eyes for this, or perhaps it would feel better to just pick a point and then kind of soften your gaze into that. Settle your body into the space you're in. Some people like to ground themselves by putting their feet down. We all know there's lots of ways to listen. So whatever that is for you, you are welcome here. So there's a song that we sing often in Unitarian Universalist congregations. It's called "Come, Come, Whoever You Are." And we are going to be singing that this morning. It's based on a poem that many believe was written by a Muslim mystic poet named Rumi. They're also known as Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi. This week, because I knew we were going to be singing this song, I was listening to it and singing it. It was a bit of an earworm. And I was imagining what happens. I don't know if you imagine things when you're listening, but now's our time to imagine. Imagine a person who is wearing splendid robes. And that person is in front of a great door, a door that is opening into a space. They're holding that door open wide. Inside the door is something warm and wonderful. Maybe this person is someone you know. Maybe it's someone that you love. Perhaps they are a stranger. Or perhaps it is even you. And they're saying, "Come, come, come in. No matter who you are, please come in." Yes, you. Come in. How do you feel? Now they say, "Come in if you have been wandering, if you have been traveling for a long, long time. Come in if you are a religious person. Come in if perhaps you have left religion behind. Come in if you have left a place behind, or left behind many places. How does that feel? Now, let's imagine that they're saying, and look, this door, this wide open door that is welcoming you, it's not a door of hopelessness or a door of frustration. There is no despair beyond this door. How does it feel to hear that kind of welcome? And then they say one more thing. Perhaps it's the most important thing that they say. They say, come on in. Even if you have broken your vows, your promises. You've made promises and broken them, and made promises and broken them again and again and again. Come in. We have all made promises and broken them. But now you are standing in front of someone who's saying, come on in and be with us anyway. How does it feel to be walking through that door? Okay, now imagine that you are the person holding that door open. You're holding that door open to someone who has broken their promises. You're standing there holding it wide open. How does that feel? Come yet again. Come.
We welcome one another into this space, not regardless of what we carry with us, but knowing full well that we carry a lot of different things into this community with us each time we gather. And so we want to acknowledge that. We don't want to pretend that it isn't happening. We take time every Sunday to say, we're carrying things with us. And so maybe those are broken promises. Maybe it's other joys. Maybe it's other concerns. And so if you are with us today online, I invite you to put any joys or concerns that you want to put in the comments below so that the congregation will know about them. If you're here in person, we have our Joys and Concerns book where people might put some things they want the congregation to know about. And the only thing in the book today is a stone of energy and prayers of protection to those working the polls during this election season, gratitude for the work that they do. What else would you like to acknowledge that you carry with you into this space? I invite you to come forward and place a stone in the water for any joys or concerns you want to acknowledge today. place a stone to acknowledge those joys and concerns shared online today, and a stone to represent the hope that is in all of our broken promises, that through deep listening and repair, there can be healing and restoration.
I would like to offer a reading this morning by the Reverend Scott Taylor. The title of it is, "Who We Listen to is Who We Become." Let us turn inward in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Sometimes the world outside of us can be so loud, making it hard to hear those voices we once knew so well, voices that once knew us so well. And so, to silence we turn, to listen for the echoes of memories that make us whole, the pain of others that reawakens our hearts, and the beauty of this wildly generous world that wants us back. Friends, in this quiet of this space, let us not just listen for clarity and guidance, but to become larger. Those voices whispering from deep within are not just calling us home, they are home. We don't have conversations, we are our conversations. We must remember who we listen to is who we become. What we listen for determines our path. Yes, sometimes the world outside us can be so loud, and so may the stillness we find here companion us and care for us, ensuring that we will never get lost. So be it. Amen.
Each week we share our offering plate with an organization in the community that is, I guess I should move over here if the choir is going to assemble. We share our offering plate with an organization in the community that is living out our Unitarian Universalist values. And this week we are reaching a little beyond our immediate local community to the city of Springfield, where the Haitian community has come under attack for unreasonable and untrue things said publicly. And so there has been an outpouring of support for them. Some of you may have known that there was a peace march in Springfield yesterday that some of our local congregations participated in. We have reached out to the Haitian Community Help and Support Center of Springfield, Ohio, and asked what they are doing right now, what their biggest concerns and projects are. And although safety is at the forefront of people's minds, what they are really enthusiastic about is their English language courses that they have for people, and their driving courses that they're offering for folks. And they're looking at a new building because the building that they're in right now is insufficient for all of the work that they are doing. And so there is hope and joyfulness and care that just permeates the conversation that I had with them. So yes, we are reaching out to this organization because of some tragic things that have been happening, but their spirit of joy and gratitude and hope, I hope, is also a lesson that we can support and carry forward. If you would like to place cash or check in the offering plate, you can certainly do that. Please make your check payable to UUCC and put Haitian Support Center in the memo line. If you'd like to give via Cash App, you can do that as well. Our Cash App handle is $UUCC 44122, and please use the memo line to indicate today's date and Haitian Support Center.
Now a reading by Valerie Kaur. Deep listening is an act of surrender. We risk being changed by what we hear. Empathy is cognitive and emotional. To inhabit another person's view of the world is to feel the world with them. But I also know that it's okay if I don't feel very much for them at all. I just need to feel safe enough to stay curious. The most critical part of listening is asking what is at stake for the other person. I try to understand what matters to them, not what I think matters.
I know it looks like your order of service says there's a reflection song now, but that's two different things. We're going to have a reflection, and then we're going to have a song. Are you okay there?
So you may have noticed we had a little fumble at the beginning of our service today. We had an agreement that Mike would do the opening reading. And Mike wasn't here.
Meg, can I interrupt just a second?
Yes, please.
So we want to set the stage for this conversation we're about to have. So I'm going to offer a couple suggestions. As we engage in this conversation, we're hopeful that you connect how our covenant helps us engage in resolving conflicts in a healthy way. We encourage you to grab that yellow card again, and as the conversation continues, consider which parts of the covenant speak most loudly to you as we have this conversation. And just another point of reference, our larger culture, perhaps our culture here at UUCC, tends to have well-worn paths of two extremes: avoidance or attack. Out of often what feels like moral indignation. What the Tending Covenant team works to normalize is a third path of accepting imperfection and the deep conviction that our relationships are worthy of repair. Some of us are familiar with the oops, ouch, whoa tool to acknowledge and interrupt harm, a process that we recommend, and you may hear more from us in the future about this. But let's start with Meg and Mike reflecting on the oops that occurred in front of you in the service earlier this morning. Thank you.
And the second oops, when I got a little overeager and Lori had to call me back.
Whoa.
That was the unplanned human moment. So we have boundaries we set for ourselves that govern our behavior, not other people's behavior. So one of our boundaries is our order of service and our commitment to keep the service flowing for you. And when there is a failure of commitment, then what we do is go back to our boundary. Where did we agree? Where did we say we were going to do?
Yeah, and so I went out and sat for a minute, and I guess I'll admit that that was a little bit planned. Yet, even though it's planned, my go-to is the avoid. And even though that was planned, I thought, I felt some shame, you know. And I won't say I couldn't have come back in here without the covenant, but with this covenant, I know that we have a community that is like welcomes our imperfections and welcomes our struggles. And that, well, the work the three of us have done as we've been developing this team have really been kind of transformative, you know, in ways that I didn't expect, that allow, even in such a, what might seem like a small thing, a way for us to connect with each other and listen how it impacts other people's commitments and boundaries, and then to clean it up. And that's what our covenant offers us. I think it's a template for a way to do that. I'll acknowledge this. I have a copy of this that I stole from one of the pews that I keep in my notebook that I carry around with me. I'm sure we can print more if anybody needs some, but I find it really just so refreshing to have this and to have a community that chose this.
Our covenant's grounding. It brings us back to those things that are important to us in living with each other. So when we think about something happening that is a failure to meet a commitment, we can look to that covenant to see that by listening closely to each other, we can learn what was important, what we missed, we can offer amends, and then accept that. And that's the key, right? Our relationship is greater than anything that may happen in between us.
So as a summary comment about that, we offer that engaging in repair often leads to deepening relationship, clarifying boundaries, and shedding, getting rid of the feeling of remaining trapped. Many of us are surprised to experience this, but it happens.
I wanted to share with all of you, for those of you who don't know, I am very new to this congregation, just since September. And one of the, this is not my first UU congregation, but one of the things that gave me a welcoming, maybe sigh, I don't know, was to see that commitment to covenant and tending covenant was so prevalent in this congregation. It's inevitable that I will make mistakes, and it's inevitable that some will feel that what I may be trying to do is a little out of their comfort zone sometimes as I progress through the work I do here. And I don't know people, so I also don't know when they say something, don't know people well, when they say something, how that's intended, right? But I do know that everybody's committed to this, and that I am committed to this, and that has really made a big difference as a newcomer to this community, and I really, really appreciate that.
So can I check something out with you then?
Mm-hmm.
Because the order of service is a set of boundaries. I do agree with that. And also our plans are not always included completely in the order of service. And you and I had a plan for something in the service that would have been another illustration, and I did not follow through on it because there was a comment made that, in my mind, disrupted it. You were introduced. I was going to slip past a thing that Jenny was doing, and then we were going to get to repair me slipping past this thing that Jenny was doing, and we were going to have that demonstration. And instead, I kind of threw you for a loop, maybe, by just not following through with that plan because you were really specifically introduced. It didn't seem to fit anymore. So I'm wondering how that felt, and was that a wise decision? Was that a bad decision? Because it was just kind of an in-the-moment
Decision.
thing. I switched gears and I didn't warn you.
And I know that that you have said to me that nothing that you ever do, Randy has made promises to me to be supportive of me and the work that I do, and that we will speak directly to one another. And so when there was a mistake made, I knew we could just go with the flow. A mistake of not making a mistake.
Well, of not following through on
Right.
the plan that we had
Right,
made.
on the plan that we had. And so I knew that there was not an intention. And I also knew that if that we would be able to have this conversation, whether it wasn't now, that we would have this conversation later. I knew that one of us, if we needed to check in, that we could do that, and that if I didn't check in, that Randy would. So, because we have those promises to each other, so it was all right.
I'm curious how that felt to you, Randy.
Well, so it occurred to me that one little phrase changes everything. You know, it was not a, you said, and now we'll hear from Jenny. And that changed everything. It wasn't a malicious phrase. Phrase. It wasn't in any way damaging or causing harm, but it changed the entire setup that I had in my mind. And so I shifted. And then, I guess relating a little bit to Mike, my first thought was, oh, we didn't plan this well. I wasn't clear in what we were intending. I did this. You know, I messed this all up because I didn't plan this and explain it well enough for everybody to understand what we were going to do. And then I said, oh, well, it's done, and we're moving on. So I let go of it, but there is that voice of, you know, my little shame gremlin that always wants everything to be my fault if anything goes wrong. And so I have learned to befriend that voice and say, thank you for trying to protect me and make sure that I'm safe, but also. So that's how that felt for me. And I think that what you put together is a meaningful service and a very vulnerable opportunity for people to experience what your intentions are as a tending covenant team, and I'm really grateful for that. So that's the prevailing sense. And I'm grateful that in, 7 weeks, we can have a sense of connection and support for one another that I want to cultivate with all of our staff, and that's working. And so if it isn't working, we can have that conversation too. But, yeah.
Well, that's great. We know you have your yellow card out, and you've been following along, trying to learn or identify what parts of our covenant speak to you as we go through this process. And we realize we are doing conflict light here. But the point is to practice. The point is to practice in these less fraught situations so that we build up those skills of acknowledgement and repair as we go forward so that we can care for our relationships and deepen our relationships. So we encourage you to pick one person to share what parts of the covenant were meaningful to you in this discussion. So in the service, or in the fellowship hall downstairs immediately after this. So think about finding a covenant buddy to discuss this with. Thank you.
And now I think we're going to sing something, but I don't have my order of service with me.
1007.
We're going to, yes, hymn 1007 in the teal hymnal, There's a River Flowing in My Soul.
I invite you to rise, embody your spirit as we sing together.
Soul.
And if that river is telling us that we are somebody, then we are definitely somebody that is worthy of deep listening and repair. We're going to talk more about, we talked a little bit about the how, and we'll talk a little more about the why of repair next week. And that's going to be our theme for the month of November. So if you have enjoyed something about this service or appreciated it, I hope you will like, share, subscribe. That is one of the ways that we extend our ministry online. I also want to let you know that today, this evening, there's going to be a considering membership session. If you've been thinking about becoming a member of UUCC, you'll have an opportunity to learn a little bit more this evening about what that involves. You can talk to Carol Gay if you have not already registered, and she will make sure that we get you on the list for this evening. We have lasagna mulching happening on November 9th. Please bring your cardboard, and there will be coffee on November 9th if you want to come and help with that. Is there going to be some other kind of treats available? Donuts and coffee. So all that you need to mulch. There will also be some of your favorite people out there working, and we're putting in a pollinator garden in a space where there has been some clearing out of ground. So you'll be able to participate in that. Our fall flannel fling is November 2nd. What Saturday is that? Next Saturday. That's the next Saturday that comes along. Fall flannel fling is Saturday from 2 to 6 p.m. Anything we need to know about that? 3 to 5 p.m. I was really extending the fun. Sorry. 3 to 5 p.m. And anything we need to know about the fall flannel fling? It's for everyone, and apparently they will be flinging a flannel. So, our auction is November 16th. You are not going to get away from Saturdays in November. There is something happening here every Saturday in November. Auction is November 16th. The last day to submit any auction items is November 10th. The theme is Welcome to the Jungle. And I don't know what jungle we are welcoming one another to, but maybe we'll find out more as we go along. Lots and lots happening, lots of ways to be together and to be in community with one another. So I hope you take advantage of at least some of those. John Fox says about deep listening, when someone deeply listens to you, it is like holding out a dented cup you've had since childhood and watching it fill up with cold, fresh water. When it balances on the top of the brim, you are understood. When it overflows and touches your skin, you are loved. May we be that for one another, that filling of one another's cups in the days and weeks and months and years to come. Amen, and blessed be. We're going to extinguish our chalice together with the words found on your yellow card. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.